welcome back. September 7th, National Acorn Squash Day. Yep, we're getting into that season now. Now it's after Labor Day, so summer's officially out or on its way out. We still got a couple hot days coming up, I believe, but for the most part, we're going to start getting into all the zucchinis and squashes and pumpkin this and pumpkin that. It's that time of year. So I'm sure we're going to see that trend coming. Anyway, so the first one is Acorn Squash Day. Never cooked with an acorn squash before. And because it's now going into the fall or getting close to the fall, we're going to start doing more soups and stuff like that because that's kind of cool to do. We didn't do a lot of that during the year because we didn't have a big call for it. So we're definitely going to try that, some more of those kind of things. So we're going to start today with an acorn squash soup, a curried acorn squash soup. So this one sounds kind of cool. I've had butternut squash soup before. I've never had acorn. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. But we're going to give it a try today. So the first thing I'm going to do is roast my acorn squash. So before I show you all the other stuff we're going to use today, let me just get these cut and put on a pan, and I'll show you how to do that and be right back. Okay, so I have a greased baking sheet here. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on there as well. Then I'll spread out. A little brush here and just kind of brush this baking pan, okay, with a little olive oil. Now what you're going to do, I'm guessing, never done this before, again, we're going to have our acorn squash, I think. Got to figure out how to do that. It's kind of tough. Okay, there we go. Try to do it without cutting your fingers off. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you want to have it, and then you want to take all your seeds out. Okay, so there's all those seeds in there. It's just like a pumpkin, kind of. So you just want to take a spoon and just scrape out all your seeds. Okay. So it kind of looks like that now. Okay, so you're going to do that with all four halves, and then what you're going to do is just drizzle a little olive oil on them, a little salt and pepper, face down into a 350 oven for about 40 minutes, okay? Because you want to wait till they cook through and get nice and roasted and tender, okay? So that's what we're going to do. I'll be back to show you the rest of the stuff we need, and we might as well get started on the rest of our soup because this is probably going to go in the last. We're going to do it in our big stock pot because we want to be able to use our immersion blender at the end to puree the whole thing. All right? Okay, so I've been prepping all my other ingredients here while my squash is baking. We probably have about another 20 minutes for that squash to be done. So in the meantime, we're going to start all our other stuff, okay? And a spoon. I need a wooden spoon. Wooden spoon. So I have a little olive oil in here, and what I'm going to do is 1 whole onion chopped, okay, right into there, 2 carrots sliced into there, 2 celery ribs chopped, okay, and then we're going to add, you know what, we're going to saute this first, just to get these cooked down. We're going to cook these down a bit. You don't have to go crazy on the chop on these because, like I said, at the end, when it's all softened and everything's going to be cooked and softened, we're going to puree this whole mess anyway. So you don't even have to worry about that, okay? So let me just saute these a bit. Once you see that the onions are starting to soften up, we'll start to add some of our spices to this too, okay? Be right back. Okay, so our veggies have been sauteing here, I don't know, about 8 minutes or so. And what we're going to do now is add our spices to this to let this finish cooking down the rest of the way. Okay, so what I have here is a teaspoon of nutmeg, because that's going to go good with our squash. We have some crushed red pepper, just a little bit, just to give a little heat to it. Okay, I have about 2 teaspoons of fresh grated ginger, okay? You can use the powder if you got it, I guess, but I like the idea of using the fresh ginger in there to really give it a kick. We're going to add about 2 teaspoons of curry powder. Now you can go heavier or lighter on this depending on how curry-ish you want your soup. We just want kind of that little bit of flavor in there. The hint of the curry without turning it into a huge curry dish, okay? And then finally we're going to add about 4 cloves of chopped garlic, okay? Again, you don't have to go crazy on the chop because this whole thing is going to get pureed at the end. So we just want to mix in that garlic there and let this brown, okay? So we're just going to cook this for a few more minutes and let this brown, and then we'll start adding some other stuff to this as well. It's time to add our liquids to this, all right? Okay, so we took our squash out. As you can see, if you poke it with a fork, it's really tender. Okay, I flipped them over. These were actually face down, but I just flipped them over to check them. Really, really tender. We're just going to let these cool down a bit so we can scoop out all the meat and leave the skin behind. And then we're going to add it right to these vegetables that we've been sauteing. Okay, so be right back after we do that. We peeled all the flesh out of our acorns, and now we're just going to mix it in here with our vegetables and kind of break it up a bit. Okay, just so it absorbs all the flavors of the curry and the garlic and the nutmeg. Okay, we just want to mix this into a nice consistency here. It's a really great smelling base for this soup. I can't wait to try this one today. I've never done this before. I've never done a curry soup. I've never done a squash soup. So this one's going to be pretty cool, I think. Okay, now to this, we're going to add 4 cups of stock. Now you can use chicken stock, you can use vegetable stock if you want to keep this a vegetarian dish. I'm using chicken stock because I always seem to have some on hand. Okay, plus it adds usually, I don't know about the vegetable stocks because I don't really use them, but I know with the chicken stocks a lot of times it'll add your sodium without having to add salt to this later. Okay, so I'm just going to stir this all together, and this we're going to cover, and we're going to let this simmer for about 15-20 minutes. Okay, we want this to really incorporate all the flavors and finish cooking down the rest of our veggies, so that way we can puree this whole thing. We're also going to add a little bit of heavy cream to this just to make it a nice creamy consistency of this soup. Alrighty, so we'll be back when we're ready to add the cream and puree this thing. Cooking for about 15-20 minutes. All the veggies, the carrots, everything are nice and tender. What we're going to do now is go in with our immersion blender and just make sure this is nice and pureed, okay? Okay, and then once I have this pretty much pureed, I'm going to add my heavy cream to this, okay? And blend that right in. There it is. There's our nice, beautiful puree soup. Okay, look at that. It looks really good, doesn't it? Look how good that looks. And it smells amazing. I can't wait to try this. You can definitely pick up the hints of the curry in there. Oh yeah, the garlic. Now the only other thing that I wanted to do, I took a little Greek yogurt that I had left from one of our shows the other day. I put a little half and half into it, just to kind of thin it out a bit, and I just want to put a dollop or a drizzle, or however it's going to come out, on the top of this, because I think the yogurt with the curry is really going to give it something. And then I went out in the garden, took some of my fresh chives again, got some chives on the top, and we're all ready to go. Let me get a spoon and sit down and be right back. We're going to try this one today. I hope it's good. First of the fall soups. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of them. Be back. Okay, there it is. Our beautiful acorn squash soup. So let's see how it is and if we did a good job with our first soup of the season. Wow, that is really good. Definitely pick up the curry. Like I said, you could go heavier on it if you want, if you like a nice, real strong curry taste. It's just a nice hint of it, which I like. I love the mixing of the Greek yogurt in this. That gives it a nice little flavor with the chives. Oh yeah, I would definitely do this one again. This one is fantastic. And like I said, use vegetable stock and you got a vegetarian soup there. So it's healthier. Well, except for the heavy cream, but that's okay. Once in a while, you got to add a little something to your soups and whatnot. Alrighty? First soup of the season, Acorn Squash Day. You don't have to do this, but do something like we always say. But I do this one. This one's really good, especially if you like curry. Alright, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.